Good morning, everyone. I'm Jeanette Larsen, your host for this video. I'm from Growth Unlimited, and welcome. A couple weeks ago, I did a series of videos on what it took to commit to change and why people had trouble committing. Since that time, I've had lots of people watch those videos and had lots of comments on them. And in my practice, I've been working with some people who've been struggling with the process of making change. And so I decided what I would do is do another series of short videos outlining specific actions and steps that if you have decided you want to commit to change, you can use to make changes in different areas of your life. The first video that we're going to do is on 5 steps that you can take to effectively take control of your life. Step number 1 is you need to know specifically what changes you want to make in order to get the control that you're looking for, and you have to be able to identify specifically what control it is you're looking for. Unless you define these things, you're working without purpose. You don't have a target. And people generally who do not have a specific target that they're working towards have a tendency not to be successful in that process. That defeats the purpose of trying to take control of your life. And so if you truly want to take control of your life and you're willing to make the change, you need to identify exactly what change it is you want to make and the steps you need to do to make that change. When you've decided on the change that you need to make, what a good idea is to do a quick values check. And this is really, really important because a lot of people have a hard time separating wants versus their needs and making sure that what they do really fits the values that they say they want to live by. Case in point would be the person who came to me who was homeless and said that his whole life he had spent everything in his life towards being independent, and that he really valued independence. In fact, he had chosen not to go to a shelter for shelter because he hated the controls that were going on in that shelter. And yet, just less than a minute after that, he told me that he felt it was the responsibility of the government to supply his house. And I found that very, very interesting, because how do you, on one hand, say you want control of your life, and on the other hand, expect somebody else to supply something that you have to have for that control? Is that something that you figure that somebody is just going to hand you something like housing without placing, I don't want to use the word restrictions, but without placing rules and regulations in order for you to have it? Life is set up so that even if it isn't another person or a governmental entity or whatever placing those restrictions, the very fact of living requires that there are certain things you need to do. There are expectations, there are rules and regulations, just in terms of day-to-day living through nature, that are going to place requirements on you for something. There is no free lunch. And so when somebody says to me they need to give me this, my question is always, are you really willing to accept it? Especially, for example, with this gentleman, when he was so adamant that he did not want to be controlled by the rules in a shelter, so he chose to sleep on the street instead. And yet he was expecting the government to supply his house. So make sure that what you want matches the values that you profess, that you say you want to live in your life. And if it doesn't, you need to do one of two things. You either need to change those values, or you need to change your expectations. And so it takes a little bit of effort. You need to know yourself. So you need to know what you need to do. You need to know that it matches what you believe and what you value in your life. And then the third thing you need to do is take personal responsibility. In every single situation, there are consequences for whatever action. Those consequences can be positive or they can be negative, depending on what your action is. You also have no power to change the actions of somebody else. Here again, another example. We have a national organization who is leading groups of people all over the United States, actually all over the world, in raising all kinds of havoc overall. This organization claims that Black lives matter. Well, Black lives do matter. I don't think there's anyone around who is disagreeing with that. However, by using tactics and methods designed to intimidate and frighten and try to force people that they believe are not giving them what they want into giving them what they want, they are negating their own personal power. Because the minute you take away somebody else's rights, you lose your rights. And here again, that's just a natural concept. So, you need to take personal responsibility. Change your actions. Decide what you can do that's going to be effective. Don't try to force somebody else to change theirs. After you have determined what you can do, do it. Many people, and make sure that what you want, what you can do is going to work. Many people oftentimes decide on something that needs to be done, but then they back away from it because it looks like it's going to be too hard, or it's not socially responsible, or they might offend somebody else. Sometimes those offending somebody else has to happen. If you have two people who are at odds with each other in terms of what they want, you're going to have conflict. And the secret is not to avoid that conflict. The secret is measuring what you do and choosing what you do to deal with that conflict by checking out whether or not it's going to be something that is legal, doesn't take somebody else's rights away, is going to be effective, is actually going to end up with the result that you're seeking, or is going to help you move towards that. And if it is legal, it is effective, and it reflects the values and the beliefs that you have, then it's an action that can be pursued. Now, when you commit to taking that action, you need to have an ongoing, and step number 5 is committing to taking that effective action. Oh, I don't know whether I said it or not. Select section number 4, or step number 4, is selecting the action to make sure it's effective. But step number 5 is committing to taking that effective action and then following through. Be sure what you're doing is not a waste of time. Don't get on Facebook because you're angry at a politician and call them names and tell people how upset you are, because that's not letting the person who's involved know what the problem is. Instead, take more direct action. Call that politician's office. Let them know what you're upset about. Let them know what you want to see happen, and let them know what you're going to do if they don't do what you want them to do, and then follow through. And if you need more information on those kinds of things, we're going to be doing a video on how you can effectively communicate what you expect from a leader in this series. Okay, and then what you're doing is not a waste of time, go ahead and pursue it. Evaluate your progress on a regular basis and make any changes that are needed. Okay, those are the 5 steps. Let's just quickly go over them again without going into detail. First of all, know what you want to do. Secondly, check your values. Thirdly, take personal responsibility. Don't point it to somebody else. And fourth, select specific actions that you're going to be pursuing. And fifth, commit to taking that action. Do it, evaluate it, make changes as needed, and continue along the pathway to achieving the goal that you have set for yourself. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and take into action the things that we talked about here. If you want more help with these things, contact us at www.growthunlimited.org. We can provide training and support to help you take control of your life. Thanks for joining. Growth Unlimited's mission is to help you have your life your way. We want to help you take control of your life so that you live the life you've dreamed of, that you deserve. We have a proprietary program that helps you do just that. Check us out by visiting our website and take our free assessment to see how we can help you.